Welcome to the reading of Turning 25 on my 52nd birthday. This is a story of my life right after my divorce as I grew into a new woman. Please comment any questions on the video below. I'll get back to them as soon as I can. And thank you so much. Please like and subscribe also. Thanks. Now it's time for chapter 28. Veronica always had an early flight to Orlando, and every time she was getting ready to go to the airport, she wanted to kick herself for making a 6 a.m. flight. That meant she had to get up at 2:30 in the morning, and it made for a really long day. The flight was uneventful, and she arrived with no travel hitches at all. The rental car was ready to go. The traffic in the office was light. She was finally feeling comfortable driving around in Orlando. It always took her longer than it probably should for her to feel comfortable in an area. She was always afraid of getting lost. It was actually an unfounded fear, because anytime she got lost, it was very temporary. And these days with GPS on your cell phones, heck, it wasn't easy to get around. She stopped and got a sandwich and then headed into the office. The first day, especially when only having a half day, was spent catching up on emails, reviewing notes, and fine-tuning the schedule for the week. The afternoon went by very quickly. She went to the hotel, checked in, and got into her exercise get-up. She needed to go out instead of sitting at the bar drinking. She really needed to start behaving at least somewhat. She really didn't want to have a one-night stand today or this week. She wanted to focus on her workout and shower, relax, and bed. After she finished with her workout, she stopped at the bar to get a bottle of wine to take up to her room with her. She liked to have a bottle. That way she could have 1 glass or 3 glasses. It didn't really matter. As with anything in Veronica's life, things could not stay quiet. That would just not be normal, not normal for her. She went to the office somewhat early. She walked in the office around 6:30 and settled in. She was going to be working with a small groups of people, showing them new features in the software. This customer was going to be upgrading to the new version, and she would show them these features and discuss how possibly to use them to their benefit. The first group's training went smoothly. They all liked the features and were all going to think about how they could utilize them the best, and then get back together with Veronica before the week was done. The next group was a little more difficult. This group wanted to fight with her on everything that she was bringing up. Veronica, of course, found this odd. Why would they be fighting her on new features? This is nothing like changing over to new software. She made it through the training session, but barely. She was exhausted. That would always happen to her when the room was filled with negativity. She decided she would deal with it tomorrow. Maybe the one main negative person was just having a really bad day and was bringing everyone along with her. That night was also uneventful. She took a break and working out, had dinner up in her room and just relaxed. She did a little tarot card reading, but mostly just relaxed. She would work out again tomorrow night, and that would help her out of trouble for another night. She visited with the lady that was negative in her training session the next day, and come to find out, she was actually envious of Veronica. They talked about it, and from what it appeared, her boyfriend was really paying a lot of attention to Veronica, and she was jealous. But they talked about it, and Veronica explained that she was really not asking for any unwanted extra attention. They both felt better after the talk. That night, she got back to the hotel and put on her workout clothes and headed for the gym. She worked out really hard. She jogged for 4 miles and did some weights, but worked really hard at it. Being in Orlando, dealing with the humidity actually makes you feel like you have worked out even harder, sweating from head to toe, feeling drenched. When she was finished, she headed down to the bar, and this time decided that she wanted a beer. Nothing better than an ice-cold beer after a workout. She was still in her workout clothes, so she ate outside, had her beer and a glass of water. She looked at her phone, and she received a text from Doug. She hadn't talked to him since the weekend, which was fine. She didn't want to overdo. She really wanted to get together with him personally before doing a ton of texting anyway. She really just wanted to see if they had a connection at all. You can't always get that when you're only texting. She happened to tell him that she was having a beer at the bar and still in her workout clothes. She found it funny. Someone that is working out hard, but then has a beer immediately after. Doug then replied, "You in your workout clothes? That has to be sexy." And Veronica then said, "No, I'm sweaty, not sexy right now." They chatted a little more, but that statement was kind of not sitting well with her. She had her second beer and decided she needed to go upstairs to her room and shower. She thought she should let him know that she wouldn't be responding to texts for about 20 minutes due to the shower. So she told him that she was going to take a shower, and his response was, "That is really hot, you in the shower." And all Veronica could think was, how is that hot? It's a shower. Because I'm sweaty and messy. She didn't say anything, but it was another statement where she could just tell the conversation was going to turn for the worse if she didn't put a stop to it. She hopped in the shower and got cleaned up. She then sent him a text letting him know that she was cleaned up and that was ready to wind down. It was 2 hours later in Orlando than it was in Denver. He then asked her if he could send her a picture. Her immediate response was, "Please do not send any pictures." But they came anyway. It was a nice bright picture of his penis. He texted her not to look at it, to be sure to delete it. He said he had sent the picture over before he received her text saying no. She deleted the picture. And then in the meantime, he decided to send several more pictures of his penis. It was actually such a turnoff. Not the body part as much as the fact that she specifically asked him not to send any pictures, and then he apologizes, tells her to delete one, but still proceeds to send her 5 more. This was very strange. She told him she didn't appreciate that and that she really didn't want to go there. She was going to go to sleep. The next morning she woke up and decided that this was ridiculous. There is no way she would want to even date a man that specifically did what she asked him not to do. She texted him this, explaining that she really didn't want to have anything to do with him. She let him know that it wasn't the pictures, but it was the fact that she asked him specifically not to send them. She continued to explain that she really didn't need that in her life right now. She wanted only positive things. Her life is too good, and she is in too good of a place to have something like that in her life. He apologized profusely. He sent her 3 texts apologizing. She asked him to stop for a while. She would look at the situation later, and she would let him know how she felt about it at the end of the day. The end of the day came, and she sent a text backing up her original text. She just really didn't want any of that in her life. He apologized again, and then at least left her alone for the rest of the evening. Veronica went down to the bar and decided to have a drink at the bar. The nice thing this evening, the bar seemed to be mostly women. This was a nice change. Usually it was all men, which was fine, but sometimes it would make her feel like an oddball. She was accustomed to being the only woman in situations. Most of the places she traveled to were majority men. And anytime you were dealing with distribution and manufacturing, you were dealing with men. The lady sitting directly next to her looked like she could have been a CEO or CFO of a company. She just had a manner about her. She was sharp looking, nice haircut, nice clothes. They started talking, and come to find out she was an airline stewardess. They talked the remainder of the evening about divorce and how it was finally nice to do what you really wanted to do, not having to be at someone's beck and call. It was really nice being able to have a conversation with someone that was doing the same thing you're doing, was what Veronica thought. They each had things they had always wanted to do, but for whatever reason, their marriage, they didn't do them. Can't totally blame the husbands. Veronica completely believed that you need to take responsibility. No one forced her to stay married. Veronica was dancing and exercising and writing a book. This lady became a stewardess so she could travel. They were both making sure that they were going to do what made them feel good, what made them feel whole. That didn't necessarily mean having a man around. It meant doing whatever it was that made you happy. It meant doing things that made you happy. At that point, it dawned on Veronica that she really didn't need to worry about finding a man. It would happen when it was supposed to happen, and she would not settle for anything. Veronica did go up to her room a little earlier than normal. The last thing she needed was to have another evening where she drank too much and ended up hungover in the morning or waking up late. The next day was a good day. She was wrapping things up. Her plane wasn't leaving until tomorrow morning, so she would actually have a little bit of time to relax. She didn't have to get up early either. She went over the notes and the progress reports with the operations manager and the vice president. They discussed the next time they wanted her to come out. They agreed that her next visit would be in June. She was a little concerned because she was planning on having her breast implants done at the end of May, and she didn't know quite how she would feel. So much to think about as she smiled to herself. That evening she went to the gym and worked out. She had wine in the room and wasn't really interested in over drinking tonight. She received a text from Rick asking how she was doing. They began texting a little bit and out of nowhere started reminiscing about the blowjob she drove an hour and a half to give him. One thing led to another and they had a nice sexting text session. It was actually kind of refreshing. She really enjoyed his sexting. It was fun and exciting and it always made her feel good. Why, who knew? But it didn't matter. It made her feel good. Then if it made her feel good, then it made her feel good. What a nice way to end a trip. Just put a smile on her face. Her trip was not about meeting men. She was able to converse with a couple different women. She had a nice little cherry on top with Rick and her having a little fun over the phone. She fell asleep thinking of the little bit of fun over the phone. So actually that trip was so cool, and I didn't mention here, I actually met three women on this trip that were just really cool women, and it was really neat to have that. So often when I'm on trips, I'm meeting men, and these women were all just doing what they needed to do, and I really enjoyed it. And, it was one of the better trips I'd ever had. And as far as Doug went, I did call it off because it wasn't the mistake. It was the mistake after he told me to delete it and then continued. And I'm not kidding you. There was like 5 or 6 of them just bam, bam. Dude, stop. I told you to stop. Don't keep doing it. And I felt kind of bad, but in the long run, there was some conversations we had texting before this. And I'm glad that it worked out that way because there was just a few things that he had told me that, I don't need a man that, needs help to survive, so to speak. I'm in my own place, and especially at that time I was independently, financially okay. Everything was good. I didn't need anyone stirring the boat and making a bunch of drama that I didn't need. So, it was, it was a great trip, I will tell you. And I so enjoyed that with Rick. We always had good times when we would be sexting a little bit. It was always nice. But that's because I knew him and we had already had an intimate relationship. It's not something that I enjoy. I might talk about it later, but when you don't know someone, because it's not, I don't know. Then it makes that what the relationship is all about. Anyway, that's my summary on chapter 28. Cheers.